Buddhism, the Buddhist teaching, when you start, of course you don't know. I mean, I've been sitting for 46 years. When I started, I didn't know I would sit for 46 years. Maybe I only sat once for one afternoon. So you don't know how long you're going to continue. It's fact. And you read lots of stories of masters, with China and so on. They spent the holiday lives, they died in Zazen, and all these stories that are everywhere. And you think, somehow these people, they found this way, and they followed it with a powerful will on through the whole of their lives. But of course it's rubbish. They didn't know, any of them, that they would carry on. So it's only when looking back I can see, I carried on. I'm still doing it. There's no way I could say to myself, yes, I'm going to do it. But you know what I say? I'm going to practice every day next week. Monday, good. Tuesday, good. Wednesday, good. Thursday, couldn't do it. Something happened. My work failed, something. So you only know that you're following the Buddha way when you look back. It's really weird. And for that reason, you can't say it's a way. It's only a way when you look back and you see where you came from. At the time, all you've got is what we're doing now, what we're doing this weekend. But there is something, it seems, that made me carry on. And that something is not so clear. But Dogen calls it portion. The mind to the truth. Or mind, chin is not really mind. So my teacher always translated into English is the will to the truth. And the will to the truth is that very subtle thing that makes you keep doing it. And you can't see it in yourself unless you look back. So, people talk about impermanence in Buddhism and all that stuff. Well, impermanent just means you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow because it might be different. So, really, following the Buddha way is itself impermanent. Because you don't actually know where you're going. Of course, nobody knows where they're going. We just think we do, because we create a picture of where we're going, and then we end up going there. And sometimes where we end is not where we thought we were going. But then we adjust our memory and we say to ourselves, I got where I was So, Dogen thought propulsion is a fundamental thing. That somebody who follows the Buddha way, you can't find out where is it in propulsion? Where's my will to the truth? I want to see if I've got it, and then I can say, yes, I've got it. Well, it's completely useless. There are so many things in the Buddha way that we can't see what we're doing, and we desperately want to see what we're doing. We sit in Zazen, and we want to see. On Zazen I was one with the universe. Not only do you want to be one with the universe, you want to know it. And this is quite Western in a way. It's not so strong in the Eastern cultures. But here we want to, maybe we want to be good and to know that we're good. Or we want to be successful and know that we're successful. But almost all the time that we can't do that. And that many people spend a lot of time thinking about was my Zazen good? Did I behave properly in the session? Or whatever. It's okay, we do it. It's human. But it's really, it doesn't have any sensible result. So if you sit in Zazen, and a little part of you is waiting for that. I remember last week in this one with the universe. Well, there's lots of feelings of one with the universe. You can feel one with the universe when you get a kind of tingling sensation through your body, or you think you've grasped what your teacher is telling you, and you feel. Is that one with the universe? Probably not. To be one with the universe is to let go of any idea of being one with the universe, any evaluation of whether you are or not, and just to sit simply and allow yourself to drop off all the thoughts and all the non-thoughts. But it's not clear whether you were. As long as it isn't there. It may never be clear. Dogen writes in the first writing in his short Dogen, he writes that when we are Buddha, it's not necessary to know that we're Buddha. And especially in Christendom, because we all live in society which has got a deep Christian background, going way back to the Greeks and this. We have a need to know how we are. So I want to know that I'm good. Then I know that I'm on the right course. I know that my Zazen's okay. Fortunately, at the times when we think we know, usually a kind of bit of a delusion. I remember when very early on, maybe couple of years after I started sitting. And I sat one day, and I just felt, was going back through the wall, I felt great. I really did feel. So I told my teacher, and he said, "Well, it's best to forget those things." And he was right. The tree out there, or the cat running across the grass, doesn't need to know that they're wrong with the rules. They are. But we do. And it's very deep seated in us. In our deep Christian culture, we have a need to be good and not to be bad. It's very deep in our culture. It's not deep in Chinese, Korean, Japanese culture. When I first went to Japan, I thought these people don't have any morals. Because the way they judge whether to do something or not is whether the group approves of it. And a huge example of this was on my way to work from my house to the station. There's the main road and traffic lights and pedestrian crossing. And everybody would wait. Even when the road was empty, they would wait because it said red. And it would be green, everybody would cross together. If I was there, as a good foreigner, if I went across, I said, the road's empty. I didn't understand Japan or anything. The road's empty, I'm going across. I'd set off, they didn't follow me. I realised that it's what someone next to you is doing. If the group does it, it's okay. And in the early days, I thought, I don't have any morals, I don't have any. Well, it's not that, it was actually, I do. And I noticed my Europeanness, my Englishness, because I was in a completely different culture. And I realised, powerful principles. You've got to be right. You've got to know I'm right, and then you can go forward. It's crusades again. So that's much weaker. But it's not absent. It appears in different ways in Eastern culture. So when I came across a chapter in the Dogen about right and wrong, Dogen writes, right does not exist somewhere waiting for us to do it. That means no principle, because if we no morals, because all our morals in the Western world are abstract things which we then try to attain. And there's Dogen in the 13th century saying, no, right, there isn't right somewhere, waiting for us to find it and do it. And then my teacher, who talked about it, used to say, if you practice Dogen, you can't do wrong. You can't do wrong. Okay. What about? And then people come up with very well. What about somebody robs a bank? And he would say, well, that's hypothetical. I'm talking about you who practice balance. If you practice balance every day, Wrong does not exist. Right does not exist. So that's a huge not a shock, but a huge surprise that I was in a culture, because it pervades through Japanese culture, although it comes from these teachers. And there's Dogen writing it, and here's my teacher saying it. So we have to just practice that, and then I can't do right. There's no right or wrong. Sounds like a ticket to, whatever you want to do. But actually, it's not a ticket to whatever you want to do, because it's talking about me. And if I sit every day, I find that I stop judging, this is right, this is wrong. I stop judging myself and stop judging others. Of course, I can't do it completely because I'm European. And I'm always dealing with my own European, my own Westernness. So, actually, we can't tell whether what we're doing is right or wrong. We can't see whether what we're doing is taking us where we want to go. We can't see whether our zazen is oneness with the universe or something else. We can't know whether we're going to continue sitting for 10, 20, 30 years. It sounds like it's stomach. Yes, that's the truth of life. But very severe, bare, a body with no flesh on, bones. And for that reason, in original Buddhist groups, the teacher used to hold a thigh bone. The thigh bone is long, and the top has got a curled thing. Cut off the knee bone. This is a simple verification of the severity of the real situation everybody lives in. And that over the years became style of this. So now teachers in the West, where they dress up in their Japanese clothes and hold it's called a kotsu, beautiful polished wood. I've got one. Beautiful polished wood and the colour it was up. But originally it was a symbol of bare bones of the real situation we were in. Well, of course you can't live in the real situation. Well, we did live in it, but we have to cover it all up with our culture, our civilization, our hopes, our dreams, everything. But at the core, that's what it's like. And we all know that. So you can say, in a way, the Buddha teachings are about telling us that so that we can recognize it ourselves. Doesn't mean you can't go and read the teaching that you're not in. But it means underneath, in reality, life is severe. I didn't plan to fall over in the shower. You can't predict actually what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us can. We hope, and things, we seem to have created a kind of virtual society in which we all go forward together into a shared future. It's fine. It's the only way we can live. But in a way, it's an illusion, a shared illusion, very powerful one. We all share it, so we all live. That's what we got to say.
To think about good and evil, in a way doesn't exist, or we call good and evil.
Yeah.
It's a fun concept. It's the topic which is really hard for me to understand. Maybe I was grown in
Yes, very, very hard to understand.
in good Christian roots, not
Yes.
like one way which makes it hard for me to understand is when I think about the others. I mean, I know there is suffering. I mean, this is something you talk about,
Yeah.
I see here.
Yeah.
So some of my actions cause suffering to others. And I may, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't, I don't know. This is the topic I'm, what is this doesn't do with relation to others?
Okay, my actions cause suffering to others. So how am I going to solve that? Because once I notice, I can think about and reflect on my actions. Oh, I might have upset that person. It's too late. It's gone. What I did caused suffering and disappeared. How can I not cause suffering now? Oh boy. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Should I be very careful and kind and sweet, I'm very compassionate and I don't hurt anybody, I don't hurt animals, I don't eat or whatever. I'm not causing suffering. You might be, something might be really upset with you. Oh God, they're terrible to live with. They think they're not causing suffering, but they're causing suffering to me.
I'm not talking about not ruffling any feathers and conform to the
Yeah.
some actions cause real suffering to huge amount of people. Something which is for me hard to deny suffering.
Yes.
Yes. My grandmother's family went through concentration camps and only small part of it went through. And some people don't do just one action. They meticulously planned this and did it, and much more people invested lots of energy not to know. Many people, didn't want to know, so they block it, didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I wish my practice would make it for me harder not to see and take these actions. Not because they are somehow good, I don't know. This is the hard part for me not to understand good and wrong. Because a bit of me starts to understand what you say, that there is no, that good and wrong being named is abstract, but part of it say, okay, but this is clearly wrong. It's horrible. How?
Yeah. Me too, yeah. This is clearly wrong. Yeah. There's a difference between, for instance, saying Putin invading Ukraine is clearly wrong. Okay, that's actually not within my world, but I can look and make a judgment. That judgment is kind of abstract. It's not actually in my world. In my actual world, I can make very, very simple decisions about how to act. If I see somebody hitting a child, I don't need to think this is purely wrong. I need to act. and I need freedom to act. What am I going to do? I don't need a set of morals, a set of abstract morals to say, oh, this is wrong, therefore I'm going to do this. I just need to act. How I act is up to me, and in Dogen's philosophy, if I practice Zazen, then I'm a balanced person, and I will act in a balanced way. What the result will be, well, nobody knows until I do it. I fell over in the shower, and Yosei heard this thud, and somebody say, shit, or something like that, and you didn't think, you just came in. And you dealt with the situation. So that's what our life is like. In this case, I wasn't doing wrong. In that, simple, but in every situation, sometimes, for instance, in our Christian world, sometimes we have a set of morals which stop us acting freely. I can't do that because that would be wrong for me. But without that set of Christian morals, we have the freedom to act. How we act depends on our mental, physical state. This is what comes back in Dogen's teachings, that if your mental, physical state is balanced, that is the best you can be. Not perfect, doesn't mean I always do good and everything I do will have a fantastic result. Simply means this is the best I can be, a situation in which I can act freely in the situation. But I'm still thinking about Putin and Ukraine. I'm still judging that in my mind. So we can't stop judgment in our mind. But if we follow the Buddha way, we learn the freedom to act by dropping off morality. Sounds terrible. But to drop off, especially Christian morality, frees us up to act in the situation. Doesn't mean that a guy with a gun is free to shoot people. Talking about you, talking about me, then we practice balance. So if we practice balance, then we can't do wrong. What we can do is act freely in the situation.
It's a very strong statement. We can't do wrong.
It's terrible.
My experience is Zazen somehow gives me a little bit of this space to, which like the possibility to act, to not to follow the patterns I'm always following. Not predictably, I don't know what will be the effect, when, what, but this is, that's, I can't go wrong, this is strong.
Yeah, it's terrible statement, really. It's almost, it's too shocking to make public.
But sometimes you need to plan, so you need to do some abstract reasoning and decisions and to plan. So it's not always just act to pick up some thing and or just go offer the door and help you. But sometimes you need to plan something what you will do maybe in 1 month. And
you do. Of course, we must do that.
It's not
we
just
live in society.
in the moment. So it's not just plain acting in a moment. Yes.
Well, it's always acting in the moment. But if you have a plan and you say, I'm going to stick to my plan. So, for instance, I don't know where you go when you pass the show. Yosef could have said, I'm going downstairs to get myself a drink. So I can't change what I'm doing to this bloke who's fallen over in the shower, for example. Or, you can see the situation. You plan, but you have to have the freedom to act in the moment.
Yes, of course you have. You can always adjust the plan, but you
Yes.
need to do.
Drop the plan. You can adjust it, but you also sometimes have to drop it.
Yeah. That's it.
But we can't stop planning. We can't stop thinking what we're going to do. You can't go into the office and say to the boss, I'm a Buddhist, so I don't need to plan.
I have certification.
Yeah. But yes, absolutely. So like Dogen's teachings are not the kind of follow them all. It's a completely alternative way to live. Just live in the moment. We all live in the moment. We do. You can't get out of the moment. So it's more to see what the situation is. So the situation is, I have to plan. Planning makes me stressful, but I know that if I can retain the freedom to act now, that's a very helpful thing. And how can I get that freedom to act now? Well, Bill is coming back from Zazen. Of course, he says Zazen is one of the myriad ways of practicing balance. So he doesn't say, only Zazen in the whole of the universe is the way to be balanced. Because there are many other ways. But Zazen is the simplest.
I can't help it. This works perfectly in my job. Whenever I sleep well, practice Zazen in the morning, have breakfast, I'm not late, I don't miss my bus, I dress properly, I come to the classroom, and the students, they are usually, teenagers from 11 to 17-year-old students, they can feel that I won't let them fool around. I sometimes tell them jokingly, I slept well, I practice Zazen, they know what Zazen is, they all know what practice. And I won't let you get away with fooling around. We will have a proper lesson, and we do, really. And when I'm not balanced, they can feel it. They're not balanced, the whole lesson is out of balance and everything. And in extreme situations, but of course I try to avoid extreme situations by practicing every day. But of course, when I don't act properly, when I'm not trying to be balanced now, then things go wrong. So, but when I got to know you for several, I don't know how many years, for maybe 2 years, I was kind of imitating you, and I really misunderstood about what is important. I thought it was important to be honest and tell them how horrible they are and have arguments, and that's not what you mean. I let my emotions freely, and doesn't work. So I try to be honest when I'm sad or when I'm tired. Tell I'm tired, but try to try not to lose the sense of what is real at the moment. And you learn slowly, but my practice helps me to understand them and to appreciate when the students are honest and sincere and working hard. You can notice. It works. That's what you said about it. I don't know.
Well, maybe it's more difficult if you're in a business environment and get so ambitious. People, projects, timelines, and all that. But I can see in your situation, you created a situation which is nice when you're a student.
And you make mistakes, but as you say, well, it's over, so we can learn a lesson and look on.
Well, the problem is that for anybody trying to teach the Buddha's teachings, it all sounds too perfect. And I agree that in a way, if you try to explain, you might create an illusion. So what I'm saying is create an illusion in everybody's minds. And it's nice to realise that that's an illusion. There's no perfection. So how to manage the fact that you have to plan your life? You have to in order to you have to keep your life going the way it's going. You know, do certain kind of planning. Well, what's the worst could happen? You could say, oh, no, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want. I'm just going to, be free. You could do that, but for most people, it's too difficult. It's not easy to change our lives and change our habits and change what we feel we need. It's very, very difficult. I make it sound the more clearly I explain it, the more it's an illusion. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you are playing very radical things. I feel happy because we are with friends and they are not really listening, really hearing it because it's like I don't know. I have some very deep commitments I want to hold, and I am it, and I can say my mouth it's something nice. But honestly, if I am not ready to say they're just my concepts, but they actually I can say it like intellectually because okay, but it doesn't change the thing. I still like holding them very slowly. It's through habits.
And it's okay. It's the same with all self-improvement courses. You go away for a week and you listen to this person talking. You think, and then
I'm improved.
and you go away, and you go back home, and slowly it kind of returns to normal, and then go again. So. It's difficult, isn't it?
Usually it seems very simple, like in a situation like this, it seems very simple on the reading, but then it's so much less simple in situation.
Yeah, that's what Robert's saying.
Yes. But I think what I understood from this talk is that I think for me it very helps to drop the plan, because I am often to plan something, and I think the problem starts when I am unable to drop the plan. This I was doing very often. I was thinking that plan is something that I have to do the plan. So I think that dropping plans
Well, I'm trying create an illusion. It's the best I can do. I don't know everybody's individual life. I only know mine. And from what I say, you might think that my life is smooth and not busy and practice or something. It's not true. It's only illusion too. I'm not that not the other side of me, which I hide, except the people who are very close to me. I've got things that I'm still struggling with. Well, because struggling is living. You can't get rid of the struggle. You can find how to struggle. If you want to swim across the sea, a large stretch of water, across the Mediterranean or something, you can't wait for the sea to be calm. You have to learn to swim when it's like that and when it's like that. And that's life. But I do understand that talking about it does make it sound essentially weird, but I do. Well, all I can say is turn everything around. This is what Dogen says. Turn everything around. Let Zazen lead your life. Don't have a life that you're leading which you put Zazen into, but let Zazen decide your life. But that also sounds a bit. What do you mean? Well, I mean, you sit every day as you can in your own situation and leave it, just carry on living. Carry on struggling, carry on being happy, disappointed, frustrated, but let Zazen play its role. Yeah, that's how it is. That's right. It might take 3 years.
Yeah.
So it might take 30 years.
But good news, maybe we die tomorrow, so we don't have to work. So
Yeah, it's not. I've got to solve my. I found the Buddhist way. I've got to solve all my problems and become a Buddhist and everything. No, you're going to live until you die, whatever you do. So it's just that this is a way. This way is based on practicing balance. You can do it. Or you can live a life. It's up to you. You're free. You can stop practicing. Spend the evenings going out enjoying yourself. Work hard and become rich. Promote yourself and become famous. You can do that. Nobody's telling anybody how to live. But this is one way to live. And I suppose I'm a kind of salesman. This is the best one. How much? A lot of money borrowed. Yeah.
Do you actually need someone happy to stop? Maybe you have been sitting for a long time, so this is the best. I'm just gonna lead a normal life. Because it's hard for me to believe people actually do it. But in my experience, it's sometimes I feel like to stop.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
it's not an easy life.
No.
But somehow I can't. Not yet. So, do you actually know someone to stop? You get back to your mom.
No.
No, no light.
You do know a person like that. You do know. This is me. I practiced for a few years and I stopped practicing.
Okay. Yes,
And
I
then
know
I came
people
back
have
to
done
it.
that, yes.
And then I came back to it after about 20 years of not practicing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I'm not aware of any. I'm not conscious of my motivations as far as my
Yeah.
browsing is concerned. I don't know why I'm doing it.
Yeah,
It just feels right.
yeah.
I think, in a way, I like, and that's all I can say. I mean,
Yeah.
I can speak about different motivations and quote books and everything, but it's pointless.
Yeah.
I really don't have any expectations of Zazen other than that it is going to be like it is. So then it will give me some space in myself and some balance as you're describing. I'm not waiting for any fireworks, gun shows or anything like that. I also had some experiences and I spoke to my teacher and he said, well, this is called Makyo. This is you are in your head, this is illusion.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
just go there, take a cushion, sit for a while. Sometimes I'm thinking, sometimes I'm sleeping. I don't care. This is a place where I feel free. That's my job. That's all I understand of it, really.
Mm.
And the more I do it, the less I understand, and the less I want to understand.
Mm.
And I'm also not very fond of these koan practices. I think it's a
Koan practice.
koan practice, yeah.
I don't know what koan practice is like.
Well, this is quite popular in the Rinzai system.
Oh. Oh, I see.
You assign these stories.
Okay. No, I don't know. That's an experience.
Yeah. It's part of our tradition as well.
I published a book of Dogen through I published a book of those stories, but to me, they're stories. They're teaching stories. They're the way that the Chinese teachers and Japanese teachers recorded teaching events. What we do in the West is we extract the general principles and write a book about the general principles of Buddhist teaching. But what the Chinese do is they just collected all the stories. There's an example, 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 there's an example. So you read all the stories and inside you start thinking, I see. So he's always asking his teacher, the teacher's always making him re-examine what he said. So it was very valuable to me, like that, but I don't think about it.
They are arranged in a system. They were classified in I think, 5 to 6 categories in the 17th century in the Rinzai school. And this system of training was transferred to the Sambo Kyodan Rinzai system. And in this system that we theoretically practice, we have 750 koans.
You know Jordan Peterson? Become famous Jordan Peterson, 21 live years from the 21st century. He's got this phrase which he says, good luck with that one.
I stopped that. I told my teacher that I'm not interested in that because it's completely irrelevant to my life. I don't do that anymore.
frees you up, doesn't it? Gives you more freedom to sit things up and think about what you're doing yesterday or
Or just sit.
yeah. Even in the Deshimaru language, Deshimaru was a French, Japanese guy, monk who came to France in the 60s and it was, well, Kaizen was one of his descendants. He and often his disciples give talks during Zazen, Kusen. I can't understand it, but why do you want to talk during Zazen? I understand why Deshimaru wanted to. He had a room full of hippies who got all been smoking. And how do you give a talk? You couldn't speak very much English, you couldn't speak French at all. How do you talk to people? Give them a lecture. Like, oh yeah, man, yeah. I remember, So what did he do? He waits till they're all sitting in the dojo, and he told them they mustn't talk. Then he talked to them. I understand that. But I don't understand why somebody should want to disturb somebody else's husband by talking about what? Push yourself through into this. I don't understand that. So I don't do it. Can we finish? 20 parts.
15 minutes to go.
As emotional situation that somebody great who does it, right? Somebody else. I don't know if it's a real situation or it's a joke, but
It was told many times.
okay, maybe.
In the Kaiser saga, it was told many times. I heard like 20 times already.
Really?
You don't know if it's a real history or he was only playing because he was always talking the jokes. But you haven't pain as such because you didn't know the end of the zazen. It was not it was somebody who then but then when it's the end, and then in this we gave jokes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's quite good. That's quite nice.
yes, it was.
And everyone laughed even if it was not funny.
Yeah.
After 40 minutes of constant sitting,
Yeah.
when you hear,
If everybody's been sitting for ages, and most people start waiting for the bell when their legs start working. Somebody says, "Oh, come on, ring the bell." At least, isn't it? Yeah. I like that kind of person.
Now I think jokes about the guy drinking alcohol, but one American teacher, she's famous for this practice of also eating and mindfulness. She said that the commercial awareness for the water. Everybody need to be hydrated these days.
Yeah.
Everybody bringing bottles of water. It was advertisement for the bottled water and for the people who bring these bottles specially. So people are refusing to go to Sazen to sit in periods without bottle of the water because we feel we will get dehydrated. It's so. Yeah, it's a reality. I believe. I'm afraid that it's.
Yeah.
But one day I would love to hear you talk about no, it's not this. It's about compassion, about helping the others. I'm suspecting I don't know your answer. I strongly suspect I will be disappointed or confused.
But this was today. This was about the compassion. But what we talked today. This was the topic.
Really? What compassion? Right.
Yes, the compassion is like right and wrong.
This is the only thing I remember from you on compassion. That you refuse to say I'm doing something. I want to be compassionate. What I remember, maybe what you said. Okay, I do the things so I mark this compassionate, like reaching out because it's in balance at the moment, right?
Boris was talking about labels this morning. There are all these labels. In Buddhism, there are super large number of labels. If you put them into other languages, they sound more powerful. Sometimes, compassion, or you can say in Sanskrit, emptiness, samadhi, prajna, all these labels. And then, because there's a label there, we think that they exist. So there is something called compassion, and I want to get it so that I can be a good person. But compassion doesn't exist. It's something which we all have and exhibit when we're in our natural state. But we don't need to get it, we don't need to cultivate it. We don't need to cultivate anything. So that maybe sounds very different from lots of Buddhist teaching. And I know some schools, you have to cultivate certain things,
Kindness.
better and that's fine, right? That's fine, but I'm not doing that. I'm not teaching that. I'm teaching something different. You can go and cultivate your compassion if you want to, but you can't cultivate your compassion here. But you can be compassionate. You can be compassionate and not know it and not worry. But we want to be compassionate and know that we're being compassionate, so we can walk away. Compassionate is something that's we've all got. Yeah. Robert is compassionate. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.